Guys, a man who got the Queen of England to say the words heavy metal, Mr. Rob Halford. Rob, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great. Yes. Her Majesty the Heavy Metal Queen and I. What a great story that is, and confess. Yeah. Wrong way, that way.
Yeah, right there. Rob, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a long history with you. You've been on the Headbangers Ball when we hosted. You've been on the Talking Metal on Fuse show when we hosted. You've been on our live radio show. And way back in 2006, we met up at the Astro Restaurant, Astro Diner on 55th Street and 6th Avenue in Manhattan and sat down. Here's a picture of us there. And do you remember that day?
Let me look at this picture. Yeah, well, we're all there together, man. I've got so many metal miles in this brain box. I love those New York diners. That's for sure. And
right.
So there you go.
Yeah,
that's a great pick.
Thank you. Thanks.
And John seems to remember that you had the grilled cheese that day in 2006 when we had lunch.
I love the grilled cheese. Yeah. But whenever I get to New York, one of the first things I always order when I usually stay at the Essex House is my New York cheesecake. That's kind of a ritual.
Love it.
It goes way back, way back.
Awesome.
I love it,
Rob, thank you for writing Confess. I read the whole thing, loved every single page of it, and I've been a lifelong fan. And the one thing that I found so cool about it, and I just, again, wanted to thank you for being so honest, because I feel like a lot of these books, sometimes people want to paint things in a certain way for history, but you gave us all the great moments, but you also were able to kind of share moments that maybe weren't even that flattering towards you. And I really, as a fan, found that truly great to read, because I felt like it was a friend talking to me in the book. And was it therapeutic for you? Like even the arrest in Venice Beach, for example. I mean, was it therapeutic for you to put that stuff out there for the first time?
It was absolutely remarkable, yeah. And it's so nice to hear you say about the conversational aspect of the way it makes you feel when you're reading the book. Like we're chatting now, guys, that's me, you know, you've known me forever. This is just who I am. And the amazing Ian Gittins, who worked with me on the book, he should be given massive props, because he was able to take these textures of my personality and put them into the way you read the book to yourself. And so, yeah, it was cathartic in a lot of ways. It was cathartic in that, man, I can't believe the life I've led. You know, right. Because it's one thing to have have a little chat about one incident and then think, about another incident. But when you actually stream your whole life timeline from the earliest memories that I have from being a little kid when I sang for the first time in class to what we just experienced together on the Firepower tour, it's remarkable, guys. It really is. I'm truly blessed, and I'm so grateful to everybody in the metal world for giving me this life, as well as all of us in Priest, because we've always said over and over again that we couldn't have got to where we are without our beautiful heavy metal maniacs.
Absolutely. And in the book, John and I were North Jersey, right by New York City. We see a lot of shows at the very famous Madison Square Garden, and you talk about how Judas Priest has a lifetime ban there. Now, we got to see you there with the band Halford, I think, once. But have you ever tried to reach out? I believe the Dolan family own Madison Square Garden and get that ban removed, because we need Priest back at the Garden.
It's a great place, isn't it, man? It's got such a rich history of events, every kind of stuff. I was watching on YouTube the night of Frank Sinatra at Madison Square Garden, and they had the stage in the center, and he's in a great part of his life, and he walks out, and it's like a boxer going into the ring, which again, all of these great boxing matches and all of these other incredible sporting events have happened at the Garden, and most memorably music. And that night when the fans went a little bit too enthusiastic and created $250,000 worth of excitement, which resulted in the ban, it was That was a wild, wild night. But yeah, I didn't even know they were going to let me in when the Halford band played there. Nobody blinked an eye. I was expecting, a hand on the collar. This way, buddy, but it didn't happen. I would love to play there at least one more time with Priest, just because of our great affection for that venue and all of the great things that happen in there. So maybe you guys can put a word in for us. I don't know.
We can. We have a connection to the family, and because of our old television show, so we will do what we can to get Judas Priest back at MSG.
All right, let's do it, guys.
No guarantees, though.
Yeah. So, Rob, I have a question for you, and it's about songwriting. Now, when you did Sin After Sin in '77, you already had 2 records out. You had great signature songs like Victim of Changes. But I know that in the book, you reveal that you weren't really completely satisfied with your lyric writing until Sin After Sin. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a reference I make, particularly about once I started this sober life, that I just felt that my writing ability as a lyricist, especially, things cleared up. They were less cluttered, and I had a better understanding of lyrics and their power. And of course that happened in '86, and several Priest records had happened before then. So I use them as a kind of a template, as a reference. I was a different person then, mentally as well as everything else. So this whole way of looking at what you do as a musician is vital. We're always questioning where we're going and what we're doing with our music, because we want to make the best things happen, and the best things happen when everybody's in the best place in terms of clarity. And for me, as a lyricist as well as a singer, that was vital. So I think that's useful. I think it's useful to look back at those maybe missed opportunities, because you never want to go there again. You just want to keep improving. Even now, after the Firepower album and looking ahead to the next one, the excitement and the kind of challenge, if you want to call it that, of going one better and another step up on the heavy metal ladder is what keeps you driven and keeps you motivated.
Thanks. Great. Mark? Rob, I'm not sure.
Sorry,
if you can hear
I had
Mark
the mute button on
there
for a second. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. He's back. He's back. Go ahead, Mark.
Rob, throughout the book, you mentioned you have a belief that there is something else besides what we have here. There's the one incident where your bed shakes when you were staying somewhere. Another time where you walk into the church and you feel like you were spoken to. At the Limelight, the psychic who sends you a message from beyond. I won't give everything away, but you truly have a belief that there's something else out there. And is that something that you feel in your life on a daily basis, or is it something you just casually think about every now and again?
Well, again, in my recovery, it's with me all the time. It's something that I utilize every day, throughout the day, and it keeps me balanced and it keeps me peaceful. And it keeps me in harmony and in touch with life. That's just the way it works for me. It's not for everybody,
right
know. But I talk about it just because it's important to me, and it's made me the kind of person that I am with dealing with life as it is. And those stories, I think, are vital, because they kind of connect the dots in this long life that I've had. So they sound really wild, but they're true. They actually happened. And I think that there's probably going to be many people that read those chapters, those moments, and go, yeah, it's either happened to me or it's happened to someone that I know, or I have my own kind of belief in that part of living, and after we live in this physical sense. So it's very special to me, and I cherish it.
Awesome. And one thing I think you actually told us in a previous interview, which didn't make the book, correct me if I'm wrong, but you once also had a UFO experience, correct?
Oh, don't get me started on the UFOs.
Okay.
Well, speaking of UFOs,
when I go for a swim every night in my pool, I do my nightly walk, which takes about an hour hiking through the hills and so forth here in Phoenix. And then I go for a swim afterwards, and I'm doing the what's called, the backstroke. That's what it's called. Just floating around and looking up at the sky, And I haven't seen anything as dramatic as those two moments that happened to me when when I was a younger person. The first time was when I was coming back from the Grand Theatre at Wolverhampton. I was on my little moped, my little put moped, and I pulled up back at the place that I was living, and it was in the winter, and I stopped, and then out over the horizon, this big kind of orange ball of light comes up, and it's there's nothing else going on in the sky apart from the stars, and I look at that, and what the hell is that? And then from the east and the west, you got two other kind of orbs, these like blue and red or whatever, and they come in to this central point where there's this orange ball of light, and they go into this ball of light, and then the whole thing shoots over the top of my head. So, what do you think? That was one of my first experiences, and then a few years later, I had another experience when I was driving along, and all these cars have pulled over to one side, and you're just curious, a looky-loo, pull over, and I get out, and we're all staring at this very metallic kind of oval piece of metal that's just hovering not too far away without making any noise. It's just hovering there, and everybody's looking. This is before internet, folks, and cell phones and what have you. We just thought, what is that? It's not a weather balloon or stuff, because it's static. And then it kind of rotates it a little bit, and then it too shoots off in a direction, east or west, whatever. And there you go. So those
Wow.
were two very vivid, real time experiences. And I just love that whole discussion, especially what Tom's doing right now with his disclosures, Tom from Blink. And
Right.
It fascinates me. I'm always fascinated by the unknown, and so all the little green men thing and this, that, and the other. It's intriguing. There's a lot of conspiracies out there. I think we're all searching for answers, And as we move on in life, this whole business of enlightenment is opening up. So who knows where that's going to take us next?
Yeah, and Tom from Blink 182 has really exposed some stuff. It's quite incredible the work that he has put into that. So yeah, definitely. John?
I admire him. I admire him, just to round this bit of the questioning off. I admire him because you get a lot of bullying, you get a lot of, you're an idiot, or you get all of this kind of, when people don't understand something, they go on the defensive and they attack and they attack and they attack, or they don't understand. So their only reaction is to be negative, to be hostile. And that's a terrible way to be as a person, firstly, because it has no value. And I admire him because he's sticking to what his beliefs are. And I'm sure he's got some more strong stuff that's going to be unleashed in the future.
Speaking of Unleashed and speaking of aliens, I work for Ace Frehley, Rob, and I know you just saw Ace a couple of years ago at Alice Cooper's Christmas event, but I wanted to talk about when Unleashed in the East was released in 1979. You guys toured with Kiss, and you guys have some interesting stories about the tour. So, and that's something you addressed in the book. Tell us about that.
Well, firstly, shout out to Ace. I love you, Ace. You're amazing. You're just
Excellent.
Such a great guy. You're a great guy. You're a great guitar player and done so many incredible things in rock and roll. It's a beautiful reference that Priest has with Kiss, because Kiss took us out on a massive American tour when we were still in our growth pattern. And unbeknownst to us at the time, the whole band, but particularly Gene and Paul, were very big fans of Judas Priest. So this was a a glorious opportunity for us to be guests with them, open up their shows throughout this massive American tour, and introduced us to so many new fans that came on board after that Kiss tour. But it was great, man. It was Kiss were just roaring at that time, as much as they still are now. But in the decade that we're talking about, it was extra special. You know, there was just a very exciting, mysterious, great adventure that everybody was having with Kiss, as the band was at that moment. And you know, I read something recently which is kind of cool, that Paul was saying that, looking back, they felt that they had a lot of missed opportunities because they had to keep their identities hidden. You know, you could never see them out of the great way that they look on stage. You know, and he kind of reflects now that they wish they could have found a way to balance that up. You know, right. Especially with the fans, especially wanting to see the fans when they were off stage. But they're a remarkable band. They're absolutely, there's only ever going to be one Kiss. There's no other band that comes close to them. But it was a great tour, man. You know, it was especially fun for me because, I mean, at the time, I think Gene was dating Cher, and I used to sneak into the sound checks that Kiss did, and the guys were up on stage, and I'd see Cher hanging out on the side there, and just great memories, great rock and roll memories.
And what's great is that, Kiss fans are sometimes difficult to play for when you're a support group, but you guys won them over because they knew that you were persistent. You guys had your act together, and you were tough, and you were rocking. So the Kiss fans accepted you guys.
Yeah, they're brutal. Kiss fans are brutal, a bit like Priest fans.
Yeah,
it's you've got to be ready for anything, you know, when you go out and work with Kiss, because their fans are rabid. They love the band that much, and you're taking up some valuable time. Why isn't Kiss on there? You know, but they were gracious. They were gracious, and they we would go out on that stage as an unknown band to a lot of Kiss fans. And by the end of the night, we had everybody horns up and just, partying and having a great time together. So again, that whole Kiss world is something very special to us. We should have been doing some shows together in Europe, but then this pandemic screwed things up. And I hope that those dates will be rescheduled, because we see each other, rarely. That's just the way it is in rock and roll.
Right.
It's pretty cool that Gene and I have the same birthday on the 25th of August.
25th, yeah. And you're a Virgo, and I'm a Virgo too. So I love it.
He always sends me an email or a text like, "How are you doing, young man of metal?" Very Gene, very typically Gene.
So Rob, I know we're down to our last few minutes here, but I just wanted to quickly get an update from you on Judas Priest. There is new music in the works. Of course, Judas Priest has a lot of diversity when you look at the different sounds you've had, from Sad Wings of Destiny to Hellbent to Leather to, Turbo to Defenders to all the different records, to Firepower for that matter. Do you expect that the next Judas Priest record will be very similar in the musical style that Firepower was in, or do you expect it to go somewhere a little different?
We had some great writing sessions at the start of this year, back in the UK at Glenn's setup, his studio, and man, it was just boundless opportunities that were coming out of those writing sessions, and we did a lot of demos. I've got them all. Got pretty much an album of Judas Priest in this phone right now. Wow. And it's just amazing, Got to give a shout out to the fans, as we always do. We can't be who we are without you guys looking after us and giving us the inspiration and the motivation, because we came off that Firepower tour so energized, and we still were feeling that when we started the writing sessions early this year. And we've got a lot of work done. We usually have, on average, we usually have 3 or 4 big writing sessions at a month or so at a time. And so we've got the first one down and got a lot of material. It's incredibly fierce. I think that energy was just being channeled, especially from Richie. Some of his riffs and some of the the core of the songs, they're absolutely lethal. So I feel textures of the Painkiller experience in some of the songs, and the classic elements again. It'll have its own legs, like they all do. They've all got their own character. And I think whatever this album is called and whenever it's released, it'll be another great metal milestone for Judas Priest.
That's awesome to hear. And Andy, he will be on board as a producer again and continue on as playing guitar for you guys when you return to the live stage.
It was a great experience working with Andy and Tom, Colonel Tom Allen, because they have two different approaches as producers, and we didn't even know if that was going to work when we started to think about putting them together. But what a great idea that was, and they made some special things happen in terms of production. Me personally, I'm happy to replicate that thing over again, because I think we just touched the surface of it with the Firepower production team. And with Mike Exeter as well, that had just come off the Sabbath 13 album. So anything can happen, but I just feel it's going to be another very, very extra strong record when we finally get it made.
And you imagine
Glenn's doing great. Glenn's doing great. Yeah, he's He's been. Andy goes over to see him every so often, and Glenn's putting his ideas down, and Andy formulates them and knocks them into shape, and he's got all these files ready with Glenn's riffage, his piles of metal riffs. And at the appropriate time, we'll all get back together again and go through all that and make some more metal. And man, he's a hero. He just had his 73rd birthday. He's just an unbelievable person, and he thrives on all the great messages that he's just had from all around the world, especially on social media, because he reads that stuff. And it means the world to him, So Glenn's still very much an active Judas Priest member, if that's the right word, member.
Right.
And I would imagine that Andy will be with us when we go out again. That's entirely up to Glenn to a certain extent to give the final thumbs up on that. Andy was very gracious to come in when Glenn decided to step away from the work, because Glenn is 1,000%. If he can't give 1,000%, he wants the best. He wants the best for this band, and always will do. So I'm pretty confident that Andy will be with us, and it will just be another great roar around the planet one more time.
Cool. Well, I know we'd have to wrap it up with you, Rob, but again, the book is Confess, and it is a great read. And I thought that it really is an important part of gay rights history too, because it's a different view of your life in the heavy metal world and that intersection with being a gay man. And I thought it was just a beautiful story, and really appreciate the honesty you put forth for us fans. It was awesome.
Thank you, man. And again, I appreciate those kind words. That side of who I am is still important, because as a person that lives and works in a group of people that are still a minority to a great extent, minorities never get a level playing field. So we still have a lot of work to do, particularly at the political base. And so, that's part of me as a proud gay metalhead. There are millions of metalheads like me in the LGBT community that are hardcore fans of metal. We're there. We're loving metal for everything that it does, not only for ourselves, but for each other, because heavy metal is unconditional, the way we welcome everybody in, no matter who you are, where you're from, what kind of car you drive, how much money you've got, what faith you have, the color of your skin. It's irrelevant. It's who we are as metalheads that is the most important thing. But that's an important journey that I talk about in Confess, and I hope it has some value for what I talk about and share with everyone that's checking out the book.
Well, Rob, we really appreciate you taking the time to spend the night with Talking Metal, and we're gonna make sure that all of our viewers and listeners go out and pick up your book. It's got great stories, and it's got some amazing photos, a great photo section. And I just want to say one of the funniest ones is the photo of you guys when Les was in the band. You guys are all dressed in black leather, and he's got the cowboy shirt on. And you said, Les, oh no, not the cowboy shirt again. So anyway, people can look forward to seeing that photo plus some great photos from your childhood, where I still think you look like the metal god, even in the photo with your mom, on the beach. So I think it's a great book. I love the pictures. I love the stories. And we encourage everyone to go out and pick this up right now.
Hey guys, I've had a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. Keep safe. Wash those hands. Wear that mask.
Yep.
Listen to the scientists, and stay safe, stay strong, stay metal, and we'll see you guys in the big 2021. Oh yeah.
Absolutely, Rob. We will see you soon. Thank you,
care, Rob.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Goodbye.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Halford, a guy that we always welcome when he's here in New Jersey. I got to see them with Deep Purple at PNC Arts Center. I guess that was the last time I saw Judas Priest, and saw them in Newark, saw them when I was a kid in Chicago, and we saw them out in Long Island. So I've seen them all over the place. So yeah, Judas Priest, one of my favorite bands of all time, for sure.
Here's Rob Halford, a Judas Priest.
Yeah, I don't. All I have is a water, but I will do a toast.
I've got two things, and I'm not trying to promote heavy drinking or anything, but I just want to say that I'm drinking a nice glass of red wine, and I cannot be far from my Dash vodka, handmade in Texas. Thank you, people from Dash. Hank Reeves. Thank you.
Yeah,
we love.